Hi everyone, it's Emma from Arise, and today I'm on my own and I'm going to talk to you about maths. So, I want to talk specifically about some of the pain points that we can have as home educators when it comes to maths. And I think this has been a really challenging subject for so many families. I think it's a rare thing to find a family who doesn't have pain points in maths, to be honest. Whether that be a family who they just struggle with maths, but even families that don't struggle with maths, there can be pain points there. Um, let's think about the reasons why maths can be a difficult subject, specifically in the teen years. So, yeah, there can be lots of challenges for younger kids in maths, but in the teen years, they seem to just be magnified. I think one of the things I've seen myself, and even with my own children, is gaps in learning that they may have missed some of those foundational building blocks. Maths education, maths learning is a little bit like building a building. And you lay the foundation and you build off that foundation, go higher and higher and higher. And if there's blocks missing at the bottom of the structure, it causes weakness the further up you go. Um, and this can even be with topics that you might not see as being related. For example, fractions. If the foundation isn't there with fractions, that can affect some things that are quite complicated later on with algebra. Um, the reasons for there being missing blocks for in children can be various. They can be as simple as perhaps you've went through health problems and there's just been a year of health issues in a family, and that year that foundation gets a little bit shaky. There could be gaps from, say, miss changing a curriculum. Um, Changing a curriculum can cause you miss a bit here, miss a bit there, and those kind of little bits can add up. And we've all done it. Um, and sometimes there's missing bits just because it's been a specific topic that has been quite difficult. You've not changed curriculum, there's not really been any gaps. It's just this one, there can be just a topic which has always been a sticking point for your child, and they've never really grasped it well. They've kind of muddled along, got past it, and like, oh, good, we're not doing that anymore. We're into this thing here, it's much better. And then you revisit it the next year, and it's still that sticking point. And that shaky foundation in one area, it just kind of grows as you continue. So that's one place where maths can be difficult in the teen years. Um, Another area is for as parents, we can feel that our skills are not adequate in that area. And I think we all have those subjects as parents where we just don't feel qualified, or it's an area that we particularly struggle in, and it makes it harder for educating our own children. And with those, in that case, there's lots of ways in which that can be helped, which we will talk about in a little bit. And then there's other kids who just really hate maths. And it's just a battle, and they've always hated it, or they might develop a hatred for it. That sometimes happens, and it's just not their favorite subject. And that can cause problems, particularly in the teen years when you throw in some hormones and other things. It's like, yeah, we've all had the maths battles and the maths tears. We've all been there. Um, and that's something that's really important for us to acknowledge as parents, that even in families where um, I have the skills to teach my children maths, but even within my own family, there's been times where maths has just there's been tears, and there's been sticking points, and there's bits where you're like, I don't know how to explain this another way to help you understand this concept. That is perfectly normal. There's also developmental issues sometimes with all areas of education. So the same is true in English as is in maths, that sometimes your child just needs a little bit more time to get there, that they're not getting it, it's not their forte, and they need longer to develop those skills. So if those are some of the difficulties that we face and we all face, what are some of the ways in which that pain can be eased in our home around maths? I think there's a balance to be had between consistency and flexibility. If we are too flexible, as in we've, it's like sometimes if it's a really hard subject and we're like a really hard topic and we're struggling, or child's struggling, think, okay, let's change it up, we'll do something different, we'll put it away. If that is the default all the time, the problem doesn't get fixed. It kind of just gets pushed to one side and it's still there, but when you come back to it later, it becomes more of a problem. So this is where consistency also comes in. If you have a child who particularly dislikes maths or any subject, this is just any subject wise, having that consistent plan for getting it done. So having that time, like today's, this is our maths time. This is the time we're going to do maths today. We're going to do maths on these days. Personally, we try to do maths every day. It's one of these subjects I try to do every day, if not every day, 4 days a week. At minimum 4 days a week. We've got co-op one day, so in a fortnight, so that we wouldn't be doing maths on that day, but we do. It's my big priority, even if life is kind of falling apart. When we're doing school, maths is a top priority in our day. And so there's that consistency that we're going to keep doing this. And if there's and that within that consistency of setting the time, getting it done, there's also consistency on the amount that we do. There has been times where there's a particularly difficult subject that we're tackling, where instead of pushing through with a page of questions, we'll do two or three and do them well and really just take our time to go through it. This is how we do it. This is what we're doing. This is what this means. And breaking each step down really slowly as we work through that problem. But if you do that every single day, that's going to be, again, it's going to cause more problems down the road. So this idea of flexibility and consistency. So with the consistency, recognize, okay, this is hard. We're slowing it down. We're going to do a little, but the next day, right, we're going to do more today and have that consistent rhythm within our learning. Um, with that, don't be scared to go back to say, actually, we need to do, say, you we're talking about teens. And the big kind of gold standard is getting that iGCSE in maths. And it might be that your child is 14 or 15 and you're thinking, right, we're going to start iGCSE maths. And you think, actually, we're not quite ready. You think this is too big a jump. So taking that step back and thinking, no, we're going to do another year of the pre-iGCSE work, that kind of year nine or S2 work that would be in Scotland. And we're just going to take a pause and we're going to go back, just keep building that foundation. And that is the joy of home education. We take our steps are guided by our children and not by a system that says that they need to sit this exam at this age and to move on to this thing or that thing. We can set that time for what is right. So some kids will be ready to start when they're 12 or 13. That is the exception. Other Other teens will not be ready to sit in iGCSE maths until maybe they're 16 or until they're maybe 17 or even 18. And remembering that an iGCSE is meant to be sat round about the age of 16. So there's that developmental part to be aware of, but not being willing to slow it down and just step back and make sure the foundation is built well. Um, if we're doing all these other things, there's space to do maths fun day. So have I think with younger children it's a nice idea even just to do one day a week with younger children of maths games. and just fun maths activities. There's so much out there on websites like the Nrich Maths website that Cambridge University has. There's Maths Week Scotland, there's Maths Week England, and I think there's a Maths Week Wales, so Maths Week, and in your region, but you can go to any region. And on these websites, there's so many amazing free resources that you can do to have maths games or just fun activities and ideas to make maths um, engaging, to take it outside. There's places to do like games, maths games outside, and having those days where you're just doing something a bit fun or doing mathematical thinking skills. The Enrich website has so many resources for teenagers to build maths thinking skills that are just really good. There's also a book which I will link below called Thinking Mathematically, which is a bit more challenging. And I would say if you have a mathematically gifted child, you want to build that muscle and give them something a bit meatier to work with instead of just kind of drier textbook problems. So things like the Enrich website and this book, Thinking Mathematically, which I'll link down below, is a great resource to really challenge and build that maths muscle for those teens that are really gifted in maths and want to do some more challenging and logic-filled problems. If you're in a co-op, consider doing a section where you do maths games or math skills um, as a group. We've done it in our own co-op. We've had sections where we've done a maths game with both younger kids, but also with the teens. We've had times we've done maths games with teenagers, a mathematical thinking class with the teenagers, and it allows them to think collaboratively about more challenging maths problems. And what we found doing that in our co-op was that it was one of these things that we put on offer, and there was perhaps a bit of a moan, a bit of a oh maths from the teens, but we found that actually a lot of the not everybody, but of can't please everybody. But there was a significant number of young people who thought it was going to be really boring and just like, oh, awful. And it was like, "Oh, do maths at home. I don't want to do maths at co-op." And they actually really engaged with it and found it really, really interesting and helpful for their just developing those mathematical thinking skills. Um, so those ideas, consistency, flexibility, um, switching it up a bit, taking that step back, or sometimes taking a step forward if your child is like finding maths just too easy, doing the opposite, are always to help with maths in your home. And then there's times where it is right to get some help. So things like asking a maths tutor to come and work alongside your teenagers. And there's also the idea of doing live online classes like that we have at Arise for your maths. If your child is at that stage of doing iGCSE or A-level maths or higher maths, whatever those higher teen level maths classes are, and you don't feel that your skills are are enough to help your child, this is a great place to be able to pull on the skills of other people and build that foundation, that consistency with somebody on hand that can help. Um, Part of this is understanding what the needs that you have in your home and for your child are. So what do they need? Do they need that step back, or do they need um, a fresh perspective on maths? Do they need to slow the pace up, or do they need to quicken the pace? And these asking these questions, trying to figure out what is the thing that your child needs. Um, Also understanding what is available. So there's that kind of need for the child, individual need, but what do they actually need practically for their future? We hold iGCSE maths up as kind of gold standard that we see that universities, colleges, employers, apprenticeships, they need that iGCSE in maths. Um, However, if you've got a struggling maths learner, they might be better served by looking at level two functional skills maths, which we'll be offering at Arise this year. Level two functional skills maths, a pass at that is seen as an equivalent qualification to a pass at GCSE maths. So looking at what career path or college or university track, what track does your teenager want to take, and asking, would the functional skills maths be sufficient? If you're in Scotland, um, you can still sit functional skills maths, but you may want to consider doing Nat 5 applications, which again is a new course that we'll be offering this year at Arise. So in Scotland, Nat 5 applications is considered as an equivalent Nat 5 maths qualification to Nat 5 mathematics. And many jobs and university courses will accept the Nat 5 applications instead of Nat 5 maths. Things like primary school teaching, nursing, social work, um, professional jobs where you could do the Nat 5 applications, which takes away some of the more challenging aspects of the Nat 5 and makes the skills much more practical based maths skills for kind of real life maths problems. If you have the other problems that we've discussed about having a gifted student, um, if you've got a particularly gifted student, they've done their iGCSE maths, and you're looking what to do next, A-level maths is an excellent qualification to aim for because the A-level maths gives such it's looked on really highly by universities and employers. It gives a really strong foundation in maths and thinking and logic. And I would say even for Scottish students, so we have A-level maths in Scotland is the kind of equivalent to the A levels, but I would actually recommend any home educating teen in Scotland who's looking to do perhaps a science-based degree or something like that, maths, physics, um, astronomy, these kind of that kind of qualification. I would actually say that they would be better doing the A-level maths and the higher maths because it will stand them in better stead for going to university. And it will be looked on really well on your UCAS form and your transcript, or your CV, whichever way you're going with that. So the A-level maths is something that it is a really good course to do. Again, we're offering that this year. And we'll be doing a podcast with the tutors for that in the coming weeks. And again, that gold standard is always going to be the basic iGCSE maths that will be serve so many students well. That we've got lots of information. There's some videos on our website, and I'll link to those below that tell you a little bit more about the specifics of the iGCSE maths. It is a great course for just again training your teens to think and to problem solve, and giving them that really broad math skills knowledge that they need for their future. So yeah, um, we all understand maths can be a really difficult subject in our homes, and I think there will always be pain points when it comes to maths, but we can work together and we can help alleviate some of those difficulties around maths. And if you're interested in our iGCSE maths course with Arise, it's myself who's a tutor, and I really love working with these teenagers and trying to both take great joy with working with those kids that just love maths and are great at maths. It's always lovely to work with people who love your subject, but also having that empathy and that that grace for those who maybe do struggle a bit more with maths. And over the years, I work with families and help them to navigate those struggles so that their child can get that pass in GCSE maths. Thank you for listening.